Parish meeting on Tuesday, October 27th, 7 p.m. We've got a temporary clerk here at the moment who's stood in to do the minutes as our previous clerk has resigned. So I welcome you all to the meeting. Mr. Chairman has commenced filming and members are now to receive reports from Exile Authority. Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead of myself. Public forum, please. Yes, please, Mr. Hill.
Agenda item 177B refers to members going to discuss the issue of the Village Hall Committee not surrendering copies of the requested accounts to the Parish Council. Obviously I cannot preempt what will be discussed in this item, but I would like to advise on certain matters. The Parish Council are the custodian trustees of the Village Hall, and this is a supportive one. You are entitled to be given copies of the annual accounts, and that is all, and I understand that this has always been supplied. I believe you are requesting accounts for the 2 years 2008 to 12. We know that these have been supplied, but if it is a question of them having been mislaid in the Parish Council archives, then we will be happy to supply copies. The reference has been made to the Village Hall Committee having refused to surrender accounts, and we would dispute this. A request for a very detailed breakdown of certain accounts was requested, and to supply such information would involve several volunteer members of the Village Hall Committee, many hours to produce that information, so such request was refused. The only requirement the Village Hall Committee has to the Parish Council is to supply copies of the audited accounts. In view of these comments, hopefully your discussion on this item will only be to decide to request copies of the 2008 to 2012 audited accounts from the Village Hall Committee, which are not currently in your archives. Thank you.
Well, I can answer those questions there.
One real question.
No, your first question is the accounts that are not in the files when it was handed to me. They obviously have been mislaid. Who's at fault for mislaying them? No blame can be put on anybody, because when I've gone through the files, they're not there. You obviously, in all honesty, say that they were transferred over. I, in all honesty, can say they're not there. So what was asked for was these accounts to be presented to the Parish Council for a council file. Now, I have emails here from the chairman of the Village Hall Committee who refuses to send them. One letter says it's absolutely ludicrous. Now I can get all these letters printed if you want, what your chairman wrote, refusing us to have these accounts.
Well,
Now, this is it ultimately what your chairman is saying. I have asked, and the clerk has asked, we've asked twice now for these accounts.
well,
The chairman has emailed me saying he's not handing them over.
well, if you, I don't know what you're going to discuss, John, or what the result of it's going to be, because I can only speak before the event. But I am saying to you, as a Village Hall Committee member, if you are missing certain copies of accounts, for whatever reason, if you contact the Village Hall Secretary and say, we don't have these in our records, can we have copies please? They will be supplied to you.
We have twice contacted the Secretary and the Chairman, and they have refused.
Well, I am telling you, I spoke to the Chairman, can't be here, the Acting Chairman can't be here tonight, and I've spoken to him this week, and if that is the information that you want, all you have to do is ask for it and it will be supplied to you.
Right, thank you. Well, that will be brought up at the meeting then. So the letter that was sent with the accounts that was asked for, is there any reason when it was discussed at your meeting why they weren't handed over in the first place?
Well, that's just on from here and have them asked.
As you said, John,
At
the end of the day, if you want the accounts, just make a simple request, they'll be supplied, that's the end of it. We don't need to go into who did what, where, when, how and why.
Right, thank you very much, Mr. Hill.
Member of the public.
It's often said about Cornwall Council that we're not good at communicating, and I think, hands up, we aren't brilliant at times. I've been doing a series of going around all the network areas talking about planning, but John Pollard, the leader of the Cornwall Council, and the deputy leader, Adam Painter, are doing a whole series of what they're calling open doors. It's your opportunity to talk to the leaders of the council. Anything is on, you can ask whatever you like. So these sessions are your opportunity to come along and talk to us about things that really matter to you. I hope that as many people as possible come, meet and share their views. Other cabinet members will be there as well. The next one that's nearest to you is on the 4th of November in Liscard at the Echo Centre at Parish Place. But if you missed that one and you felt you did have a burning question or something you wanted to put to John Pollard and Adam Painter, 9th of December in the Saltash Town Council offices in the Guildhall. Next thing might be a bit of a weird thing to talk about when you're in Polruan. This is about loo. But the Millpool car park now has a rapid charging point. So I don't know how many of your residents have a electric car, but obviously if you were trying to get somewhere and there wasn't one nearby, that could be a bit of a problem for you. So I just wanted to highlight that there's a rapid charging point on the Millpool car park. It's one of 24 rapid and fast charging points across Cornwall, and the one in Loo is the super fast one. You just buy a card, I think it's £25 for the year, and it costs £20 for the year, and a charging connection fee of £1.80 each time, and then it's 30p for a kilowatt delivered. So we try to be as green as possible, so I think that's a good thing to have one, at least. The next one I think is in St Austell.
I understand that Cornwall has the most charge points of any place in the
It has, but that's not very helpful if you want to get out of Cornwall, of course.
No.
At least it's good within Cornwall. On the same sort of theme of environmental issues, I've got a few rubbish facts here. Every day, working day, we would collect and landfill 555 tonnes of rubbish. That costs £185 to collect and dispose of 1 tonne. So you can do the math, that's over 26 million quid just to throw our rubbish away. About 25% of that rubbish we collect every day could be recycled, and it costs £110 to collect and recycle a tonne of rubbish. So the maths stacks up. We could save £2.7 million a year if we all did a little bit more recycling. There are some resources that Cornwall Council have produced for schools to try and encourage schools to teach children about recycling and waste. And the Cabinet decided last month to roll out a pilot of collecting mixed plastics, because it is a bit confusing. That one we collect, that one we don't. So we've decided to do a trial. So it's 46,000 properties. It's not this area to start with. It's Penwith. It's down right down on the Roseland and that area. So we're going to do that for 12 months. So it'll be tubs, pots and trays. Our thinking is that if we make it easier to recycle, then people will recycle. So the idea is this will be rolled out across Cornwall. I've got a real environmental theme going here tonight. Just wanted to highlight to you and your partners that they could join Cornwall's collective energy switch. Householders across Cornwall can join forces to cut their energy bills through a new initiative called Community Energy Switch. It's being led by Community Energy Plus, which is a Cornwall-based charity that works to help householders reduce their energy use and ensure that they can afford to heat their homes. I'll send you the full details of that without reading it all out. I quite like this one because it was a bit unusual. I don't know if there's any radio hands amongst you, but I know there are a few Cornwall councillors that are interested in that, but Ofcom have just given Cornwall a new K call sign. So Cornwall's the only county in the country to have its own call sign. It was led by Poldhu Amateur Radio Club, so the K is for Kerno. There's a few around. I wanted to highlight the planning conference, which I hope that members are coming to. The next one is tomorrow night at the Pavilions in the Royal Cornwall Showground, and then the one that you would probably go to is in Callington Town Hall on the 23rd of November. I know that topics being covered are about Section 106 agreements, landscape and AONB, which is important to Lanteglos as you've got so much of it. How to comment on pre-applications, because that could be a bit of a worry for some councillors. They're concerned that they might be predetermining a planning application. So we're giving some guidance on that. I think it is important that you do comment on pre-apps to try and improve and raise the quality bar about planning applications. And finally, I just wanted to let you know that from my community chest, I gave a grant to the Coast Watch in Polruan to help them with some awning blinds to keep anti-glare blinds to help them see better when the sun shines. Okay. I'm happy to take any questions. I didn't realise that Lynette had left already. No, it was close, so I have emailed them to her email address. So save the clerk having to type everything, I can, if he lets me have your email address, then I can forward you what I've typed up. Thank you.
Next we go on to planning apps. Planning apps, please. PA 15/08692. 1 Brendan St Saviour's Hill Colroy. What do members think about it, please?
Oh, that's the Brendan.
That's the Brendan. Have you got your little spot to show the cladding they wish to put on it? Right, Adrian's got the red dot on. The weather cladding. It looks exactly like what's on. I know we slipped up there. St Saviour Towers.
Yeah.
Is anybody any support, objections, comments?
Support the application as written. Opposed?
Anybody objection? Everybody? Unanimous support?
Yeah.
Vote please, proposal and seconded. Show of hands please. Show of hands, support. That's, I want just comments on it. And the next one behind it. Next one behind it is for the retreat, the chapel up at Highway. This is to convert from 1 dwelling into 2. Unfortunately, some drawings get rather tight, and when you go on to project them, they do get a bit blurred.
You can
This is the
zoom in.
one
Yeah,
drawing.
the red line in the middle is where the passing wall between the two is going.
Any big comments, please?
No, I support
Do you?
it.
Yeah, I've been saying
Yeah,
and all that.
I think so.
See what
Okay. Proposed,
Support as written.
seconded, please. Show of hands, please. We go on to environmental and amenity matters. Are you with us, John?
Yes.
Parish lengthening scheme. Well, the parish lengthening scheme really is what us elder generation, I suppose we could call ourselves, but now is the roadman. And his job used to be go round, he'd have a wagon, clean drains, ditches, hedges, minor repairs. In fact, all year round job, in my opinion, he'd done a very useful job. However, that got discontinued. Now the farmers have got to cut their own edges. The drains are left to fill up. And the roads and the potholes just carry on as they are. My problem with it is this part of the part of the county council taking all the money off us and then expecting minor parish councils to pay for their own roadworks and hedging.
I think it's roadworks.
With these minor roadworks, they used to carry out minor road repairs.
This is glass cutting.
You know, who's going to pay for it? They say the prow's there. Now the prow's, that's another argument that's come up online with various councils. The prow's now, the last update was 2007. County Council haven't upped the grant since then. So really, we should have a 17% increase due to the cost of living and everything, or whatever index they're measured on, increase in our grants for prow's.
I think you're overlooking the fact that £196 million has been taken out of Cornwall Council's budget and that it just can't afford to do it. So the budget's going down and your requirements are going up. Something's got to give.
Well, it's agreed it's got to give, but at the end of the day, we all pay for this over the council
So I
tax.
would say it's not our requirements going up, it's statutory of the local authority to provide for cutting highways. You know, the public rights of way, it is county council's responsibility to keep clear.
Isn't it?
We get the grant to do it ourselves, yes.
Yeah.
But if we didn't do it, it would fall back on council to do it.
And it wouldn't get done because there's no budget to do it.
Well, that's it, and then it would become a legal issue between the parish council and the county council, and although Cornwall Council would be in the wrong,
Well,
you would
can't
just
get,
say, well, it'd be the simple thing.
can't get blood out of a stone, can you?
So really, this is another argument, is who's paying for it? So really,
I think realistically, it's stick with the status quo. We'll cut off public rights away as we do. Take the money from Cornwall County or from Cormac while it's available, and but that's that. You know, it'd be brilliant, really, if the money could be bypassed from Cormac and come straight to us, and we could do more. But the relationship between Cormac and Cornwall Council seems fairly incestuous, doesn't it? So.
At least it's not going to a shareholder, it's coming back to the taxpayer.
There's a lot of management it's got to get through before it gets to the places needed. Is the trouble.
I agree with that.
so what's the opinion of the council then?
Suppose we stick with the status quo.
Isabel? Stick with the status quo?
I suppose that's all we can do.
Yeah, I don't see any way.
So,
It's not
I was going to suggest
as an item or discussion, we consider our options, but really there isn't much.
Oh, well, I think
Options is there?
there isn't
No,
options.
is there?
You
I
can
think
pay
it'd
for
be
more.
worth.
Well, they say there too, but
Obviously, as well, when this came out, there's been emails banded around from other councils who have got on their high horse. But I do think there's an argument, and I think it's worth us getting on board with it, saying, well, you know, there might not be the money in the pot, but council tax goes up. Rates, you know, the rates keep going up.
Yeah, I think you have to remember that only 19% of the whole £1 billion budget comes from council tax. So if that's a tiny portion of 19% is from council tax, that only went up by 1.98, but the vast majority of the grant has reduced. It's disproportionate. That's why the cuts to Cornwall have had a bigger effect than they have in somewhere like a London borough, where all their budget comes from council tax and not from grant. We've been at a disadvantage in Cornwall. with the cuts. It's hurt us more.
So really it's up to the MPs to screw more out of their own parties.
Or
to
maybe
get them
we
going.
have to rely on the House of Lords.
So if you go for option 2, Cormac, we lose dear. We don't accept any of the options.
That's, we spent a bit more on our cutting this year than last year, but if it was left to Cormac, if we're lucky, it'd be done once a year. So I think it's
Carry on as we're doing.
I think we are.
Carry on as we're doing and maintain the status quo.
and keep on the bandwagon of keeping pressure on Cornwall Council. Whether it achieves anything or not, at least you know.
I think you're having a go at the wrong people. You can't. You've only got so much. You need to bypass that and go straight to Cheryl, I would say.
Well, true. But what Cornwall Council could do is bypass Cormac and give the money direct to the parish councils.
And that should be your response.
Right.
Why not?
Why not?
Well, it happened with the toilets, because Cormac used to charge the toilets extortionate rents
Oh, yes.
and do the toilets. As soon as we run our own contracts, the prices have dropped considerably.
So the proposal's change then, that we stick with the status quo, but we ask Cornwall Council for the money direct rather than go through Cormac for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so we have a proposal and second.
Got there in the end.
Right, show of hands, please. Good job, you know what you were doing.
Keep spooning it, keep spooning it.
Yeah.
Keep the pressure on you, then.
Right.
Right, next one is public key conveniences. Right, on the key toilets, there are problems with the key toilets. Basically, the cisterns inside are really past their sell-by date. 2 of them are beyond repair, and the water pressure in them is lacking. There's one cubicle which actually works, but it's an old cistern, and what I've suggested and what we've looked at with a private contractor is to replace the old cisterns with new push-button cisterns. However, this again comes down to money with John James, and he would say he would look at bringing them up to what he calls a functional standard, which means the old lever-operated ones. But the reason why these toilets don't function is because with lever-operated toilets, flush systems, and low water pressure, if the toilet don't flush the first time, the person trying to operate it cranks it again and again, which breaks the internal workings. Whereas the flush system, ecosystem fitted on St Saviour's toilets, we have no problems whatsoever. So what has been suggested is that we ask the John James's outfit if they would provide us with the money they would be willing to spend on bringing these toilets up to scratch functionally wise. Let us have that money in a form of grant, and then we would employ our own contractor to carry out the work required to bring them up to the standard we wish.
I'll second that.
Yeah. Would that work?
Well, that's what I think.
Well,
If that's acceptable with the town trust.
Nothing to do with us, John.
Well, no,
I
we all work together in this one, because what we're doing is making sure the toilets work for the future. Door stops required, that's a minimum cost one. The countersunk stainless steel screws required. What's happened over a year is various people in there repairing the toilets have just become a bit lazy. They've either fitted rust iron screws, which rust, Countersunk screws instead of pan head, which catch your fingers, well, they've not fitted them at all. So it makes the toilets really look a bit unsightly. So what we're looking at this winter now is to bring the toilets, refit them, ready for when they're opening in beginning of April, and we ask Cornwall County Council to give us the money to repair them. And we will add extras along with the Town Trust has already promised us some money to help bring them up to a modern standard.
Have we said that to Cornwall Council?
No, this is what we're doing. This is a reply from Cormac Solutions. What we've got to do now is write a letter to John James with our proposals, what we would like to do. And looking at the cost of it, you know, I would suggest there's a budget of £1,200 would complete the job.
Well, going back, I will second your proposal that we write to Cornwall Council and ask for the money direct, and we will do the repairs that we want.
Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah, nice, very good.
Show of hands, please.
We can try.
Would you? Show of hands,
I
please.
think you'll be okay with that because sorry Chairman, Lou had the same issue on a much bigger scale. What it would have cost Cormac to refurbish them, Lou had the money and we did it ourselves. So there is a precedent
There is a
for it.
precedent.
Yeah.
Before we go back to it, the items in black, we can go back, the items in black are what Cormac Solutions will have carried out and they've funded already. Right. Soap bins. Members that have received an update on the parish salt bins. We have got several damaged, and really what we need now is for a contractor to go around and fill them up, and for the next meeting to report the ones that need replacing, due to just gradual PV sunlights distorted them. The one down Watergate's destroyed.
That's a design fault, surely.
Well, no, the sunlight, despite all these green people saying it, fiberglass and plastic does eventually collapse in the sun.
Well, I know, so why make them out of...
But anyway,
That's what I mean, it's a design fault. You don't design something that's going to be put in the sun, and then when the sun destroys it, say, oh, goodness.
Well, they do put in a UPVC, a UV component in them, like in your windows and everything. But those soap bins are probably, what, 20-year-old, 25-year-old?
Are they that old? I thought we were...
You know, they're like the sinks, they're worn out, they're past their sell-by date.
but anyway, the White Cross one's full, we just wanted it moved to get to the highway,
Yeah.
so that's simple to do.
The one that I don't expect 3/4 full and is working absolutely fine. It's
The
not
one in Essen really needs a new lid.
So two, we worse one out, so you said Watergate, Esser, are
Yeah.
two that need replacing. And the rest just need topping up.
Need
So we
topping
need to
up.
buy 2 new bins.
And the other one is, I think, myself, there should be one out Frogmore, on that hill there. I don't know what members of the council think, because there's not one there.
Or Sugar Brown.
the bit that goes
On the junction, stick it on the junction where Lanteglos
Land
to
to the
Trevor
hill there.
Oh, okay.
worse.
I think the nickname
Is
for it is
that
Break My Heart.
very
That's
icy
what the
where
car
it
park.
was, Sugar Brown's was
Yeah.
It's really
very
worse.
bad.
due. So the purchase of 3 bins is required.
Yeah. And top it up.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, just whether we've got any, when we last buy a bin, what's the price of that?
I would have to look at what
How much we got in the budget, so.
I think we got enough salt at the moment.
I know we got enough salt, but we got a budget for it.
I don't think we've spent anything on that budget, have we?
Seats. Oh, it's not 150 quid. I ain't gonna buy 3 bins, is it? They're probably 150 quid each.
No, well, there might be. We'll have to look that one up and
Yeah.
bring that one back on the next meeting.
Yes.
Cost to do 3 bins. Next one, we go on to minor
Well,
roads.
what's the proposal then? So for the next,
Proposal is, next meeting,
have the price for 3 bins.
price for 3 bins.
Yeah, I
And
second that.
and the
And to according to
contract
contractors.
on top of
Yeah. Second that.
that. Next is state of the roads. The clerk reported poor conditions of road highway down to Bramblecombe and the bend. And also, Fursbark Hills have come down the road there, the puddles on Fuzzbowl Hill is quite steep in places, quite bad in places. So a letters to highway to get them filled.
Chairman, there's a new highway steward as well. Just
Pardon?
in case, there is a new highway steward for this area. It's not Colin Lewis anymore. It's called Mark Brewster.
Have you got a phone number? Or anything?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll send you, you should have had notification of that, but I'll send you the email that I've had. It's a new Cormac solution structure, so maybe less managers. I'll send it to you.
So we can contact them for the state of those 2 roads.
Haven't you got a case number up there though?
Yeah, there is.
So it's already been reported.
So it's going to be inspected.
Yeah, but not
Poor condition of the road.
You've got a case number, so it's been reported. They just haven't been actually been out there and inspected it as yet, as far as you know.
They filled one pothole in highway.
One?
One pothole has been filled in highway.
One's been
The
in.
deepest one, the rest weren't deep enough.
No, you've got to hide a bullock in them before they get filled.
Right, next one is Lanteglos Highway. Cormac are not willing to carry out speed monitoring due to the fact this exercise was previously carried out in 2014. As the hamlet cannot be considered a village, it does not qualify a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. Members have discussed other ways of deterring speeding motorists.
Well, I think at the very least you could have a sign saying highway at the west end. There is one at the east end. There's one at one end, but not at the other.
Well, I said I was going to suggest, why don't we get a quote off of Cormac? Just, as we discovered last time, Cormac would be the ones who have to do the work in citing the sign, to fit a sign at both ends to say Lanteglos Highway, please drive carefully.
Yes, yes, I think that would be great.
I think it was quite a ridiculous price, but that's all we can do, I think.
Just without Mr. Pierce's sign now. Yeah,
So
there's nothing there.
a letter to be written to
Cormac
Cormac for sign.
To ask for a quote to sign, certainly at the west end, and possibly upgrade the one at the other end, just so they both say Lanteglos Highway, please drive carefully.
Can we have a
Yes.
proposal?
What about those signs? What about the
I-
circular signs that are black around the outside? They're just advisory signs, aren't they?
Well, that's all you can ever put up. There is an advisory sign because it's a 60-mile-an-hour limit.
Yeah, but what's wrong with doing that?
Well, at least it would show people that there is something there to slow
Yeah, I know,
down
but
for.
listen, they're not.
Because you walk out
Because
of the
they're not
front
there at the
door,
moment.
Percy Ferris wouldn't, he sold his house there and went to Kay's Park, because he said you walk out the front door and you're right on the highway.
Yeah, well, what's wrong with putting those, asking for quick to put those signs rather than just saying please drive carefully, having sort of 40-mile-an-hour advisory signs either end?
You can't
Well, they won't put the,
because it's a 60
they
mile an hour.
won't
You'd have to
qualify
they won't.
for saying
So
30
we can
miles
have
speed.
advisory signs up, not proper highway code signs.
No, we don't. We put the name
The
sign
proper
on the
legal,
canvas.
the proper legal signs got red around the outside, speed limit
Yeah, but you
signs.
can't just pick your speed limit that you want. The speed limit is the speed limit, and that's what they're saying is that they won't change it.
I don't understand that, because at Laren, you're supposed to go 20 miles an hour for miles outside Laren.
There's a school.
And
School.
Medinic.
School
Yeah.
in there, and there's no school up here.
That's
Yeah,
what
but
we
it
did.
isn't just the zone of a school.
Automatic speed limit where there's a school.
Medinic has the same thing, 20 miles an hour at the top of the hill,
I think all you can do is, like
Yeah.
you say,
advisory.
Just an advisory
An
notice.
advisory one.
Yeah.
So what we're having to propose then in a secondary place,
I-
two new advisory notices.
One at each end,
One in each end, west and east end.
saying please start.
Lanteglos, by the way, please drive carefully.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, seconded by Isabel. Show of hands, please. Next is to approve solicitors for use by the parish council. List of proposed solicitors are 3 in number: Stevens and Scone, Coods and Kevin Francis.
Kevin Francis is local, you'd be much.
This is just to approve a list.
Oh, approving the
list.
whole list.
Approving the
I
whole
see.
list.
You're not supposed to be
Do
choosing.
you want to add somebody to it? You can add someone if you want.
You can add people if you want. Does anybody know anybody else? No? So, can we have a proposal and second to approve, please?
Yeah, I'll propose that.
Right, show of hands, please. Next one, approve contractors for use by the parish council. This is for any sort of works complete. Any bit of focus or not, or is that it? Is that better for members of the public?
No.
No. We've gone past it.
That's it.
Past it, focus.
Oh, is that it? Oh, I have to do, sorry.
Right, has anybody else they wish to add to it, councillors? Proposer and seconder, please. Seconder, please.
Second.
Seconder. Show of hands, please. Right, next one we go on to R. This is where we're jumping a bit, you know.
Well, we've dealt with one.
Members to discuss the village hall committee, C.
We've dealt with that one, haven't we?
Right, we just will go through it. What it basically was
We will ask.
we had a discussion and letters about we have missing accounts from the village hall in our file. We asked for these accounts. There was letters backward and forward, and now Mr. Hill said if we write to the Forward Village Hall Committee, they will supply these accounts.
Yes,
Is there anything else any councillor wish to do? Say about it.
no, that's fine.
Yeah,
Everybody happy?
Yeah.
So we propose seconder, please.
Propose that we write to them to do as requested.
It is requested. Right, show of hands, please. Policy and guidelines on unreasonable, persistent and/or vexatious complaining. Members are to consider adopting an updated and revised version of the policy and guidelines, previously circulated to all members. So instead of boring everybody to death with my voice, if we go through page by page, I take it you've all read it on your emails.
Yes.
So we got
Pages are we going to?
we got page 1, which is introduction, name and definition. Page 2 is decision and actions. Page 3, sorry, is review.
You don't have that on your iPod or pad,
And you did put
No,
it on the other.
I didn't think to put it on, so the net is produced this before.
And this will be going up on the
We don't have it here, do we? We don't have that one.
this was sent round email for everybody to read it.
Yes, but-
I'll pass you this copy over.
Something
Because Adrian's
sent.
ready. Yeah. So, can we have a proposer and seconder for this, please?
Okay, I'll propose to accept that policy.
Okay, seconded. Show of hands, please. Okay. Show of hands, please. Yeah. Next item is notice boards. We've got the 2 new notice boards. One to be sited at Lower Greenbank and one in 4th Street. I thought this might have been with a bit the other way around, because I thought one was going to be for Whitecross.
Well, there was some fuss over
There was
it. We don't
just
want
the
the
two.
notice board on the end there for whatever reason, wasn't there?
What I'm suggesting with these notice boards are that we put these 2 up. The 2 that come down, we take them down, have them taken down carefully, and then we can make one good one, refurbish them. in perhaps another organisation like the church, the village hall, or somebody else would use them. Because basically they're structurally sound.
Yeah, it's silly to just trash them.
Fair enough.
So what we need to do is
Well, can I propose just looking at the agenda then? Can we not make these two items on the agenda, one to get the quote from one to fit the seat and fit the green balls as one, rather than as two separate quotes?
what does everybody else think?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
What was your arrangement with the National Trust about the seats?
I haven't spoke to Andy Simmons yet because you've got one to go down to Dinnick.
Yeah,
We're in
was it
the
only the ones out in Polruan that he said that he thinks?
there's
or was
one.
it any of them?
There's one needs to go by Wellside. That's where Raymond Colliver one's going. And the two that's left need to go with Andy Simmons down into the hills.
Yeah.
But I haven't contacted Andy Simmons yet.
Is that the two?
Is he just transporting them, or is he?
He said he'd set them
He
in.
said he'd fit them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which two have been cited? Two of the parish seats, oh sorry, are ready to be cited, sorry, I'm not reading it.
That was one in Badinnick,
The ones
Yes.
going down here.
one down there.
And,
So who's going to do? Who was intending to do that one? Was you going to get a contractor, Julian? You and Toby, or
Well,
your
yeah.
farmer's going to do it yourself?
Could do.
I don't even know which one you want replacing.
It was down by the Bedenic turning, one's grown in the hedge.
Well, the one that was in Penmarlham side.
Yeah.
Right. The seats are ready to be collected.
Right.
All 4 seats are out the back there,
Yeah.
padlocked together.
padlocked together, yes.
So you,
Okay. Yeah.
you
I
do.
don't mind doing that. Yeah.
You can give us a shape and upload it on.
So hang on, this has changed the ball game from what I just said, hasn't it? If you're doing that seat, National Trust will do the two out in the hill.
Hills. We just got Raymond's Colliver seat to go down
And
Wellside.
the bed, so to cite Raymond's seat and to get a quote to do that and the two notes balls together.
Yeah.
That's my proposal, please.
Proposal. Any other ideas? AK?
No ideas on that.
So, proposed and seconded, please.
Proposed.
Seconded. Right, show of hands. Correspondence documents not covered elsewhere on the agenda, only for information. This is from Polruan Town Trust. Please find an enclosed cheque in the sum of £1,500 as the trust contributions towards running the costs of the toilets from the 1st of October 2015 to the 31st of March 2016. Secondly, it was reported at the Trust October meeting that the Parish Council were having problems getting repaired out by Cornwall Council. If deemed beneficial, the trustees were prepared to contact Cornwall County Council to remind them of the responsibility to carry out the repairs until the 31st of March 2016. Finally, as yet, has there been any decision made as to whether or not the Parish Council are intending to employ a solicitor in the matter of drawing up the lease? Please advise me of details so that I can notify the Trust solicitor accordingly. What do members wish to do? Let the Trust solicitor sort it out?
Yes.
Simplest way is to
Easiest way.
Easiest way?
That's the easiest way.
Yeah.
So we've already let it back to we asked the Trust solicitor to sort it out.
Excuse me, John.
Yeah,
The trust solicitor will prepare a draft lease.
right.
What the trust are asking, do you want that draft sent to you as the council to consider, or are you taking legal advice, in which case does it need to be sent to your solicitor?
you don't come to us then.
Pardon?
You can come to us then, can't you?
Yeah, because it was, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
And in view of the previous decision, I would suggest, about you asking for them to give you the money to deal with it, I suggest that you just do that rather than getting us involved as well.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
John.
Right, so we have it sent to us and then we sort it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Proposer and seconder, please. Proposer, seconder. Show of hands. Right, diary dates. The next full council meeting will be held at WI on Monday the 30th of November, commencing at 7 p.m. But before that, what I'm proposing is that on the 16th of November, the closing date for applications for the clerk are the 13th, which is a Friday. On the 16th, we have a closed session in order to shortlist the applicants, with on the 20th of November, selection panel to consider the applicants.
Second that.
The 16th being a Monday as well.
16th being a Monday,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
and we use Paul and WI.
Yes. Second that.
Show of hands, please. No. Finally, closed session in view of this confidential nature of the business about to be transacted with regards to tenders that have been received for the vacancy of cleaning operative for the key public conveniences over the winter. It is advisable in the public interest that the press and public be excluded, and they are instructed to withdraw. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.